Man, I'm not sure what kind of algorithmic blessings were sprinkled upon me, but for some reason, my last video blew up. I had originally created as kind of a helper guide for an Escape from Tarkov PvE Facebook group I was in, because lots of people were asking for tips on the cultists. It got a few eyes on it, nothing crazy, but a week or so ago, something happened and it absolutely took off. Views started piling up, and normally when comments start flooding in, I get a little nervous because sometimes YouTube comments can get a little harsh, but wow, the amount of awesome, friendly comments I've gotten has been completely overwhelming. I've gotten requests for more videos, people sharing their own experiences, and even leaving their own tips for cultist hunting. When people leave comments about how my video specifically helped them take on those little bald freaks, it really puts a smile on my face. It goes without saying, I am so incredibly happy with all the positive engagement, so much so that I want to keep this going and continue posting EFT content on this channel. Now, as happy as I am with how that video came out, there's a few small tweaks that I need to put in to make a huge difference on your success, as well as your safety. I've made some modifications to my sweeping route and tactics, as well as some minor equipment tweaks, and I'm also sprinkling some tips and tricks that a lot of you left in my previous video, so we're going to call this my Ultimate Cultist Farming Guide version 1.1. Bear in mind, even though I didn't mention it in my previous video, both that video and this one pertain to the PvE game mode exclusively. I had a couple commenters mention it, and they're totally right. These strategies would be much less effective in PvP, if not just getting you killed outright. So for future reference, these guys are for my PvE unks specifically, unless otherwise stated. I fully plan on doing some PvP videos in the future though, so stay tuned. Now pretty much everything I stated in that previous video is more or less true. Needing full coverage armor. High damage ammo aimed straight for their little noggins. Having enough meds to stock up a pharmacy. All that stuff is still true. But there's some changes I need to make, mainly regarding one big factor that I stupidly overlooked. The goddamned goons. Allow me to now take this time and formally apologize. If you're someone that watched my previous video and followed my instructions, eagerly searching for cultists only to be absolutely vaporized instantaneously by 3 dickheads with the highest penetration ammo in the game, well, have a marked room key on me. Seriously. I'm sorry. An absolutely monumental lapse of judgment caused me to forget that when making that video, an event was taking place where the goons were locked to shoreline. Now that that event is over, well, they're back. And they definitely will put a damper on your search for marked keys. But all is not lost though. From the very first surprise ambush up until now, I've been working tirelessly to devise a new strategy. Although my sweeping path is roughly the same, I'm much more methodical this time around. After many raids of testing, I've locked down the spawn points of the goons pretty accurately, allowing me to procedurally work my way through the cultist spawn area with a relatively formulaic and predictable plan of action if these douchebags happen to show themselves. It's not perfect, I still die on occasion, but the score has drastically shifted to my favor as I learn more about them. The most important thing about the goons, to start, is if they spawn in, they're actually not overriding the spawn of the cultists. The two groups can be in the same place, in the same raid, sometimes virtually on top of each other. So unlike Reshala, where if you find him it essentially means a premature extract, or killing him to get a chance at a cultist mid-raid spawn, the presence of the goons does not affect the spawn chances of the cultists either way. That means if you run into the goons and manage to survive, which is no tall feat, you have the same chances to find the cultists. So think of it like this. If Reshala is there, no cultists. Now I've gotten tons of comments from you guys saying that you've run into Reshala and the cultists at the same time, and far be it from me to call anyone a liar, but in my 500 or so customs night raids, not once have I ever seen the cultists and Reshala up at the same time. I'm not sure if I'm extremely unlucky, but the fact that so many of you have left both YouTube comments and in the Facebook group, I mean, there has to be some merit in them. I plan on experimenting in the future with night raids with Reshala and spending the entire raid circling the cultist spawn area with him up to see if they spawn. If it ever happens to me, I will gladly eat crow and admit my wrong, but as of now, I'm sticking to my guns and saying that the cultists will not spawn if Reshala is up. I will die on this hill. If the goons are up, however, the chances for cultists is the same. If you happen to get the goons and Reshala together, well, lube up. It's about to get rough. This has happened to me a couple times. It is decidedly not fun. There was one particular map where I'd aggroed the goons as I was nading Reshala in the fortress, managed to kill the goons quickly in a panic, killed Reshala, and then the stars aligned and I got the mid-raid cultist spawn after, only to die to the very last second. Talk about heartbreak. The goons, Rashal and his guards, and the cultists, all in one raid. All I was missing was Partisan to complete the whole douchebag ensemble. That was a battle for the ages. But I digress. This newly revised version of my guide is mainly focused on mitigating the threat of the goons, efficiently and safely killing them, and then continuing on to your sweep for cultists. The plus side of this is that the goons have some absolutely insane equipment. Class 5 plate carriers, dozens of grenades, chances for labs cards and keys, and ridiculously kitted out weapons filled with the most devastating ammo the game has to offer. Big Pipe even has a chance to drop this sick grenade launcher. This thing slaps. They're incredibly deadly, but killing them is worth it. And notice I said killing them. Pretty important. Unlike Rashal, where you can simply and safely disengage, extract, and reset, the goons will leave you with no choice. They are absolutely merciless. Once you aggro them, they will relentlessly chase you. Knight especially will sprint to you with unlimited stamina and sniff out your position like a cracked out narcotics canine. There's practically no escaping these guys. In this guide, I'll go over their relatively predictable spawn positions and tailor a sweeping pattern for you that ensures maximum chances of killing them safely so you can carry on hunting for cultists. Eventually, these dweebs will only be a speed bump for you that happen to bring you lots of shiny new weapons and equipment. Now, let's get some minor equipment revisions out of the way before we get into goon tactics. One change I've made is instead of a flashlight on my equipped weapon, I instead opt for an IR illuminator. It acts in the same way as a flashlight when you're wearing night vision, illuminating shadows and making it much easier to scan grassy areas and bushes. Pair this with even the most budget set of NVGs, it drastically improves visibility. It also makes scopes like the Razor and the Voodoo much more viable, especially at close range, negating the scope tint that occurs with night vision. Scopes are back on the menu, boys. If you can't afford a Razor or a Voodoo, a Valde PS320 or an Elcan Spectre also work great. For a tac device, I would recommend the B.E. Meyers Mall C1 Plus. It's got visible and IR lasers and IR illuminator combo settings, as well as different beam widths for the IR lights. Granted, it's only available from Skier at max loyalty level, and gets pretty pricey on the flea, but it's worth it. If that's not available, a cheap Zenit Klesch 2IKS illuminator works great as well. If you do end up getting blinded by a flashlight, by either a PMC or a guard, simply break off contact and re-engage after they turn away or turn their flashlights off. The next is grenades. I know I mentioned in my last video of 1 being mandatory. This time, it's 3 or 4. They're a necessity for making a safe and efficient sweep, as we'll be using them to scan potential goon spawn points by baiting voice lines out of them, giving yourself time to prepare your engagement and preventing you from stumbling around the corner directly into their lines of fire. I'd recommend buying F1s and RBG5s from Prapper with every restock, and along with dog tags, most PMCs carry 1 or 2 F1s on them as well, so be sure to quickly loot their pockets after a kill. Stock up as many nades as you can. I keep no less than 2 grenade cases in my stash full at all times. You can never have too many. You can even use Zaryas or smokes. Any nades will coax a voice line out of an NPC. People have also mentioned the fact that I've never discussed thermal scopes. I purposely left them out because 1, they're prohibitively expensive, and I intended this guide to be used by players of all ability levels, experience, and bankrolls. Thermals are way out of the price range of all but the richest of players. Pair that with the fact that they're uninsurable, means dying will have you incurring an eye-watering ruble penalty. Secondly, the cultists themselves have reduced body temperature, meaning that the thermal scopes have drastically reduced effectiveness when cultist farming. They also love to pop SJ9, which completely eliminates any remaining thermal signature altogether, making them virtually impossible to see. Seriously, you'd have a better chance at seeing them if you just use your naked eyes at that point. Ultimately, these 2 glaring drawbacks make thermal imaging devices woefully impractical for our purposes, thus I've omitted their use from this guide. I'd also like to mention, even though it's generally an unspoken point, that a good headset is also mandatory. If you can get your hands on some Comtac 6s, I'd rock them, but any decent headset will be fine. Sound is usually the first thing that alerts you to cultists. As far as equipment changes go, that's pretty much it. Only thing left is a hefty change of strategy. Now, I know our farming runs previously prioritized speed and raid turnover. Get in, sweep as fast as possible, get out. That has to change when you toss in the goons. While cultists grant you with a little bit of a grace period on initial aggro, the goons are absolutely merciless. You'll have roughly a half second to react before you're turned into Swiss cheese. This requires us to be much more deliberate and calculated with our sweep. We won't be able to complete the raids per hour like we did before, but it's just the nature of the beast, at least until there's another event that makes the goons piss off somewhere else. Now, I want you to remember our sweeping pattern from the previous video. That's going to be the pretense for this revised explanation. I'm going to go over our spawn positions, our route, and where we run, and the strategy we employ if we happen to find the goons. The good news is, the goons seem to have roughly the same spawn positions as the cultists, so if you spend any time farming them, you'll know roughly the same idea where the goons might spawn. Where before, we did a simple visual sweep, now it's much slower, more methodical, with a lot more grenades sprinkled in. Also, as we proceed through each potential spawn point, we take a mental note of our escape plan with a potential ambush, much like we did with the cultists. Only this time with the knowledge that we know we will get pushed, and quickly, at the very least by night, but potentially all three. Now let's get started. If you spawn at Trailer Park, Crossroads, or around Big Red, I want you to converge on this spot right here. Hopefully you brought a scope, because from this vantage point you can pre-scan a potential goon spawn point, RUF checkpoint. Spend a moment carefully scanning back and forth, taking note of any movement. The goons tend to have a small patrol, making movement pretty easy to spot, unlike Rashala and his guards who will sit pretty much motionless. If you don't see anything, make your way across the land bridge, conserving stamina in case of emergencies. You should never get below half stamina at any point. Remember, you have milliseconds to react and disengage. We'll need that stamina to quickly reposition and set up our own counter ambush. Aggroing the goons with an empty stamina bar is a guaranteed dirt nap. As we climb the hill toward RUF, prepare your first grenade. Toss it up, trying to get over these small garages. If you hear a distinctive emote of a goon, carefully attempt to get one in line of sight. If you're lucky and you don't get spotted, you can drop one with a couple well-placed headshots. Like the cultists, none of them wear helmets, so headshots are crucial in fighting the goons. Knight does wear his signature Death Knight mask, which is class 1, but as a whole, the goons have 0 head protection. Use this to your advantage. Once you aggro them here, whether you kill one or not, run back down to the hill behind these concrete supports. You can get a small peek over the top in between the pipes to get an idea of what side they're approaching from. Light them up as they come around the corner. They'll be super close, so it'll be easy to unload a mag right into their faces. Bird Eye will more than likely be the last one, and up close he's a pushover due to him wearing light armor, if he has any at all. Keep in mind that he loves to do the MLG Call of Duty 4 drop shot dolphin dive, so be prepared to snap your aim down quickly. I much prefer finding the goons early in the raid, when your mind is the sharpest, you have the most ammo, and your armor is full durability. It also makes the rest of the raid seem extremely easy due to the pressure of not being hunted down by these psychopaths. If RUF is clear of goons, make your way towards the hole in the wall by the messenger body, carefully scanning bushes as you go, as this is a potential cultist spawn point as well. Creep up to the wall and listen for a couple moments while you replenish your stamina. If you hear footsteps, toss a nade over the wall. It might just be a scav, but this is another goon spawn point as well, so better safe than sorry. If you hear them, reposition yourself on this side of the hole and see if you can get an angle. If you're lucky, you can drop one before the aggro. Prioritize Knight. He's by far the most obnoxious of the trio, and he can spawn with a mutant with BP or PP ammo, or either a SCAR Mark 17 or the X17, both chambered in the 7.62x5.1 cartridge in full auto, absolutely deadly if he gets the drop on you. If you manage to pick one off, or aggro them all together, quickly sprint back behind Warehouse 17 here and enter through this door. Run upstairs, and you'll have plenty of angles to hold them from. If you can shut the door behind you, do it. When they enter, they'll be locked in the animation, giving you plenty of time to line up a headshot and take them down. If the coast is clear by the hole in the wall, carefully creep around the corner and look towards Crack House. Pay special attention to this door here. This is a common hiding place for Bird Eye if the goons happen to spawn in this area right here. If you come around the corner and see that this door is open, carefully make your way towards Crack House, being cautious as not to aggro the other two. Knight likes to crouch down by this container here. With any luck, you can sneak on the first floor of Crack House unnoticed. Walk up the stairs and peek this corner here. Bird Eye will be oblivious in his makeshift sniper hide, execute him, and then shut the door. With any luck, you'll get the two to run up the staircase outside and open the door. Blast them as soon as it opens. If they're together, it might be a little tough, but if they're staggered in any way, blast the first one and then quickly shut the door again. It's like shooting fish in a barrel at this point. Regardless of whether or not the door is open, we're going to head into Crack House either way. Reason being, the broken windows on the second floor are an excellent and safe way to scout the area between Crack House and Fortress. If they spawn in this area here, you should be able to see Knight milling around in front of Fortress. Take him out from here if you can, but if you can't and aggro him, it's totally fine. Wait for him to rush down your position and take him out just like we mentioned with the previous spawn point. Also take this opportunity to scan for Rashala, as sometimes he has odd spawn points such as directly in front of Crack House, or by this front end loader and rubble pile. Thanks to a comment on my previous video, you can also use the opportunity to scan Fortress itself, as Reshala can sometimes spawn by these gun emplacements, leaving you a free kill if you have the right weapon and ammo. His guards will definitely shoot back at you through these windows however, so be careful and pick your shots carefully. If the coast is clear, descend the staircase outside and continue your sweep. Checking these berms here like we learned before, being aware that your next goon spawn point is right here. Do your best to scan as you search for cultists, but they're incredibly hard to spot when they spawn here, so it will more than likely be a surprise. Big Pipe will open up with his MCX spear with M62 tracer ammo, so you have stuff flying at you like you're entering into hyperspace. Don't worry though, they'll be super far away, giving you plenty of time to vault in this hole in the wall right here. This is one of my favorite spots to run, as they'll have a hard time pathing to your position. The route they would have to take to reach you here is super long, so they're more than likely stop where you vaulted through the window and then just stare off into space, giving you the perfect opportunity for an easy kill. I pray that BSG never gives these guys the logic to vault obstacles. That will be a rough day. If the coast is clear, continue methodically sweeping this way, and then using our trademark pending feeler nade to check for Reshala. If he's not up, or you take care of him and his guards, we're instead going to use Fortress as a tactical advantage point this time. Where before we simply ran through to the other side, this time we're going to run to the second floor and use these windows to 1, check for a potential cultist spawn, and 2, safely check a potential goon spawn as well. Use both windows, peering through one to see any movement, and then check into the other to get a different angle. If you have a goon spawn, Knight or Big Pipe could be potentially kneeling down by this truck and trailers, or patrolling in front of this warehouse, which I've learned a lot of people refer to as Panda. If they're there, try to secure a quick kill on either Knight or Pipe, they'll be the only ones visible. If you can get both, even better. Bird Eye will eventually present himself, so you can gamble and try to take him out as soon as he's visible, but just be careful, he's a deadly marksman and will prone out immediately on seeing you. He can have an RSAS, a highly modded M4 with M995 ammo, a custom SR25, a Marlin lever action, or, by far the most deadly, a TRG M10 chambered in 338 Lapua, which can easily one-tap you through even the beefiest of armor. If you don't want to push your luck, simply crouch at the top of these stairs. He'll eventually make his way up to you, giving the opportunity to secure a quick kill. If the coast is clear, or you simply don't see anyone, throw a nade from the top floor and listen, as sometimes they can be milling around in this area here, out of your line of sight from the Fortress windows. If you come out of Fortress thinking the coast is clear, Knight and Pipe can be sitting in this area, leaving you with little chance to escape if they get the jump on you. Also be aware that you're entering a potential cultist spawn, as there's a spot right next to the door where they like to lay down, so keep your eyes and your ears open. Now we'll check the last cultist spawn point, as well as the goon spawn point, the grassy area beside Panda. Cultists love to lay in the spot here, and here as well, with the rest of them inside Panda itself. Knight also likes to mill around in this area, so if he gets spotted, you can either run back through this doorway and hold an angle, or run into Panda itself. You can stand next to this truck here and get great angles on Knight and Big Pipe as they come through the garage door, or through the back where they'll run straight through the doors at you, giving you time to line up a perfect shot. Bird Eye will more than likely be the last one, and he'll be coming down from his sniper hide upstairs. He'll come down this ramp, and if you're on the other side of the truck from him, he's a free kill. His little COD 4 drop shot shenanigans won't work for him here, and he's pretty useless on his feet. Take him out and collect your loot. Once you've swept all potential spawn locations, either extract via old gas, or flare out of the railroad exfil. Now for the opposite side. If you spawn on the west side of the map, by Streamer House, again, follow the tracks and come to the broken wall like we did in the last video. But this time, chuck a grenade over the top of the train, as again, the last spot we checked before is the first spot we're checking this route. This spot is tough from this direction, as you could almost be standing on top of a goon as you come around the corner. Do your best to bait them into you as you hold an angle here, or climb up to the tracks and aggro them and then duck back down through the broken wall. If the coast is clear here, go up to the tracks and then cautiously approach this fence here. You'll be able to see Pipe or Knight milling around in front of Panda, giving you a moment to secure a quick kill if possible, but will more than likely aggro you. Run down off the tracks and tuck yourself up next to this wood pile and wait for them to push you here. These broken boxes just inside the door will sometimes cause them to get stuck or disrupt their pathing. Perfect time to drop them. Knight will almost always be first, quickly followed by Pipe. Again, Bird Eye will more than likely be coming down from his perch in Panda, and if you stay here, he could come out the back door and engage you from this corner, making for a tough shot. I would recommend quickly sprinting in the door after Knight and Pipe are down, and running next to this truck and Panda, much like I described before. He might glitch out and stop chasing you if you reposition, so you may have to go engage him yourself. Use grenades to triangulate his position and swing on him when you discover where he's hiding. Keep in mind that Reshala and its guards can also spawn in this area, so be cautious of that as well. Use grenades to scatter them and try not to repeat the same angles repetitively. If the coast is clear, cautiously make your way out the door, scanning the grass behind the trailers for cultists lying in wait. Walk along the outside of Panda, bearing in mind that Reshala can also spawn inside this door. I always open this door to check, as cultists spawning in this area can sometimes be laying down inside. Carefully approach the corner of Panda, checking this spot as mentioned previously, as well as passively checking this spot over here at the same time. Again, they're hard to spot when they spawn here, so you're more than likely going to get ambushed. Just like the other side, they're far away, giving you plenty of time to run into Panda and wait them out. Close this door and hold an angle on it from the inside. If it's quiet, on the other hand, approach Fortress and ready your feeler nade. Throw it up like you've probably done tons of times before, and decide if you want to deal with Reshala or not if he's there. Whatever you decide, ultimately we want to use Fortress again as a lookout, so head to the second floor and repeat the process we did from the other side. Approach the first window, take a moment to scan the tops of the berms for movement. Knight or Pipe may again be milling around in the open, take your shot when you can. If you're lucky and get both from here, expect Bird Eye to come down from his hide in the crack house and prone out once he comes down the stairs. Keep in mind, as I mentioned previous, Reshala can sometimes get a goofy spawn in front of crack house or next to the front end loader and rubble pile. From here, they're an easy shot, but still be careful. They have thick armor and are incredibly accurate. At this point, I worry more about Reshala's guards themselves than I do the goons, so take that how you will. If you don't spot anyone, come down out of Fortress and continue your same sweep as before, checking the berms and bushes for cultists. As you approach crack house, be cautious of this area, as it's a potential goon spot mentioned previously. I would definitely run for the aforementioned hole in the wall that I mentioned before. It's by far my favorite spot to run. With no ambushes, make your way around the side of crack house and carefully approach the front corner. Scope in here and very carefully scan down the wall and bushy area, looking for cultists and being very mindful of the goon spawn here and here. If you get spotted, double back around behind crack house, sneak in the back door and shut it behind you. They may not come in the building, instead running around the outside, stopping, randomly voice lining, and endlessly repositioning. It may be tough to coax them into pushing you, and you may have to expose yourself to bait them in. This is my least favorite situation to fight the goons in. If it's clear, continue checking these bushes for cultists, then as you get close to the hole in the wall by Warehouse 17, chuck a nade towards Ruaf checkpoint. If you get goons, try to secure a quick kill and then run into Warehouse 17 through the front, shutting the doors behind you. Run up the staircase and hold an angle and blast them as they open the doors. If you don't hear anything, carefully make your way to Ruaf and extract. As a side note, this pallet next to Ruaf is a spawn point for both weapon or armor repair kits, both very useful items and go for a lot on the flea. Lastly, if you're spawning on the south side of the map, just like in my previous video, walk along the tracks until you get to the fence behind Panda. From here, scan through the fence and try to see if Knight is hanging out inside. Toss a nade over the fence if you're unsure. This open door in the fence will be our funnel spot if you get aggro, so try really hard to make sure if he's there or not. There have been several times where I came through the fence, walked down the tracks, only to have him aggro me from behind a bush, and it's a long run back to the door if they start shooting at you. If you get legged, you're toast, so don't get caught in no man's land. From here, our path converges on the previously discussed route, so just continue like we did before. And that's it, guys. Before long, you become the Goons Grim Reaper just like you've been for the cultists. Some key points to remember: use nades as a way to play Marco Polo with these guys and give away their position. If you see Knight or Pipe has aggroed on you and they're crouched, disengage immediately. Do not try to return fire, as they are hyper accurate turrets when they're in this position. I've shot at Knight when he was 100 meters away, thinking he was a scav, only for him to immediately crouch and one-tap me instantly. Just like Bird Eye is super dangerous when he's prone, Knight and Pipe are terrifying when crouched. Both Knight and Pipe more often than not have weapons with red lasers. They usually don't turn them on until you've aggroed them, but sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll see them from some distance away, especially if they've been aggroed by AI PMCs. Use this to your advantage and strategize how you want to take them on beforehand. And of course, if you're walking and suddenly get swept by a red laser, run in the opposite direction because there's probably bullets coming right behind it. I hope you guys enjoyed this follow-up guide. I know I talked more about the goons than I did the cultists, so I think it was more of a supplementary guide to pair with my previous one. With the knowledge of both of these videos, nighttime customs will be your territory, and watch your stash quickly fills with marked keys, high-tier ammo, and grenade launchers. I want to thank all of you for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Escape from Tarkov content. Thanks again for watching.